Santa Monica Tower, Skyhawk, November 66215.
I was calling Santa Monica Tower unanswered. Say again.
Skyhawk, November 66215, Point Doom, 3000, sending inbound with information, Juliet.
November 66215, Santa Monica Tower, squawk 0243.
0243-215.
Okay, so here's what's going on. I'm Chris. I'm your midlife hippie pilot. And yesterday I passed my instrument written with a 98%. Thank you, Shepherd Air. And today I'm going to take a drive up the coast to Camarillo Airport, talk to the guys at Channel Islands Aviation to see if maybe that's the way I want to go for my instrument training. There's some advantages to Part 141 training that could potentially really benefit me, being that I don't have a lot of time accumulated right now. So anyways, we'll figure out. I'll shoot a little video on the way up and talk to the good folks at Channel Islands. And I believe that here in, day 978 of quarantine, the Waypoint Cafe at Camarillo Airport, I think today is reopening today for picnicking and takeout. So I'll go support a local business. Anyways, I'll check in with you soon.
Who are you?
Hi, everybody. It is June 1st, 2020, or as I like to call it, March 92nd in the year of the Rona. My name is Chris, and I'm that hippie pilot. I'm here today because I want to introduce you to That Hippie Pilot, my channel that exists to help people find the inspiration and the courage they need to pursue their dreams. You see, I'm a midlifer who's decided that he's going to make the leap into professional aviation. Now, it may seem crazy to some of you, and it may seem like the most logical thing in the world to others. In fact, some of you may seem insane because I'm trying to do this in the age of the Rona. I actually started my flight training back in 1993 when I was a young Marine. But my aspirations outpaced my finances and I had to take a long leave. It was through a series of random twists and turns that brought me to a point about a year ago when I realized I really can't see myself doing anything else for the rest of my life other than flying. Now, at that time, things looked pretty good, even for a midlife career changer like me. Well, today, in the age of the Rona, things look quite different. That being said, I'm going to press on. And here's why. I think that over the course of the next 3 years, the aviation industry is going to recover, and certain things are not going to change. For example, mandatory retirements. I do think that there are going to be some furloughs that hit the industry in October once this CARE Act expires, and it's going to be a difficult time for everybody involved. Some of those people aren't going to come back. And there are some young people today who are pursuing a career in aviation who are kind of scratching their heads wondering if this is the right thing for them. They might leave as well. Now look, I want everybody to be involved. I don't think that there's anything better. I believe that by the time I'm ready to move into the right seat of a regional airliner, the opportunity will be there. But even if it's not going to stop me. I need to find a way to make it happen, and I'd like you to join me in that journey. I want to share with you my experiences as I try to navigate a midlife career change into a not so easy career field of aviation. It's demanding of a person's intellectual capacities as well as their financial capacities, and we're going to have to figure all of this out. So why did I decide to create the Hippie Pilot? Well, for a few reasons. About a year ago, I had an experience that caused me to reevaluate what it was that I wanted from the rest of my life. And aviation has been that one central thing that has been a passion of mine since before I could remember. And unfortunately, somewhere along the way, I felt like I had to put it away. I had other obligations and responsibilities that were calling, and I felt like it wasn't something that I could pursue. I started searching for a podcast. I've never listened to a podcast before. And the one I came across was Carl Valeri's Aviation Careers podcast. And the episode I found was answering the question specifically, am I too old to become a pilot? That sent me down a rabbit hole. I'm the fortunate benefactor of a lot of great podcasters and YouTubers who over the past year have kept me inspired and motivated as I've had to overcome some obstacles. I'd like to be able to do that for other people as well. I've heard a lot of great podcast episodes where midlife career changers are being interviewed and talking about their experiences, but I haven't found a channel where one of those people is actually putting their journey out there for other people to follow along and participate in. That's what I've been looking for. Now, I feel very lucky that I've been able to pull from all these other resources. And as I go through this, if I mention a YouTuber or a podcast that I enjoy, I'm going to be sure to put links in the description so that you can get the same benefit that I have as well. I hope that you'll join me as I take those next big steps in my aviation career. The first being proficiency, and that's going to be happening over the course of the next few days. I'll be sure to record some content and give you my remarks, and I'd love to hear your feedback. So be sure to subscribe, hit like if you like it, leave a comment if you don't. I'll do the best I can to respond to everybody, and let me know where you're at in your aviation life. I'd love to hear from you. My name is Chris. I am that hippie pilot. Hey, good morning. It's Friday, June the 6th, 2020, and I'm heading up to Camarillo Airport to get behind the controls of an airplane for the first time in 12 years. In fact, I won't be alone. I'm gonna go do some proficiency training with the good folks at Channel Islands Aviation, and hopefully the weather cooperates. There's gonna be a lot of clear skies in Southern California this morning, but here along the coast, we do have some low clouds. So I'll let you know how it goes. Peace. Okay, quick update. I made it here to Camarillo Airport, and not sure if we're gonna get to fly. I've got about 30 minutes until I meet with my instructor, so I'm just grabbing a cup of coffee here at the Waypoint Cafe. Over my shoulder here, I can see the plane that we are scheduled to take out this morning. We've got decent VFR conditions here, about 3,500 overcast in Camarillo. However, looking at the San Fernando Valley, marginal VFR over there, which is really where the practice area would be. So my hope is that worst case scenario, we can at least get in some pattern work here so I can, you know, squeak a few on. Anyways, I'll let you know how it goes. Catch you later. Okay, quick update on today's flight. It was a few hours ago, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned before. If not, I'm telling you now, this was my first time flying, even getting into a small plane in 11 years. The weather held up well enough that we could do some pattern work. So we got up for about an hour and did a few laps around the patch, and it turned out to be a really great day. I did all the flying, I did all the radios, I did everything. It was, to give it the cliche, it was a little bit like riding a bike. So I'm gonna go up again tomorrow with a different instructor to do a legit flight review. After today, the instructor that I worked with said, just based on my command of the aircraft and radio communication, situational awareness and whatnot, that it wasn't going to take a long time to get back to proficiency. So tomorrow will likely be just a flight review. Although we did book the following day just in case I need a little bit more time, and I'm fine with that. But honestly, it was a lot of fun. It was actually a pretty busy day at Camarillo Airport. There were a few other training aircraft in the pattern, and almost every lap around the pattern we had jet traffic coming in and out as well. So it was non-standard in terms of, you know, we weren't just doing, you know, making left turns and landing and taking off, but and it's obviously a towered airport if you're unfamiliar. So hopefully the weather tomorrow will pick up a little bit. We'll have better ceiling so we can get out to the practice area and get her done. So I got to tell you, man, it felt so great to be back in the air, and it was a bit of a relief to realize that my stick and rudder skills, although a little bit rusty, hadn't left me. Now, I will say one thing: over the past couple of months being stuck in quarantine, I've done a lot of flying in a simulator for the first time in my life, but I've done a lot of flying on X-Plane 11, and I've been using Pilot Edge during that time, so I've been able to communicate and have to fly proper procedures in Southern California. So a lot of the procedural stuff was already there. It was just getting in the plane and having that force feedback and that tactile feel, and flying a slightly different model 172 that I'm used to. So I'm gonna brush up tonight on slow flight stalls, emergencies, steep turns, the basics, and go flying tomorrow. So I'll probably check in with you tomorrow before I take off for my flight, and I'll let you know how it went afterwards. I'm not going to be taking any cockpit footage, no cockpit audio, nothing while I go through this part of the process. Once I get past this and I'm flying solo, time building, flying my family around and that sort of thing, I'm certainly going to bring the camera into the cockpit, and I'll be sharing with you guys as well. So anyways, I'm the Hippie pilot. I'm signing off. Peace. Okay, so day 2. This camera's right in my face. I need to get a better kind of mount to use in my car. I realized though last night that I misspoke maybe twice. I think that I misstated the date, but I can guarantee you that today is Saturday, June the 6th. I think yesterday I might have said it was Friday, June the 6th. Either way, today is actually the 6th. The other mistake that I made was I said that it had been 11 years since I had flown, and crunched a lot of numbers, ran a couple of spreadsheets, called an expert, and found out that no, actually it's been 12 years. This is 2020, and if you're watching this years from now, you might remember how difficult it was to keep track of time in 2020 with everything that's going on. So anyways, I'm gonna go up to Camarillo Airport, taking the scenic route, driving along the Pacific Coast Highway. It'll take me about an hour to get there. And we'll go do some flying today. We're booked for 2.5 hours, I think. So the weather's much better today. Plenty of time to go out to the practice area, do some maneuvers, slow flight stalls, steep turns, get all of our takeoffs and landings in, and hopefully I'll get signed off for a flight review today, but if not, I'm booked again for tomorrow. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to put too much expectation on it. If I do get signed off today, I think that I'll go ahead and keep the reservation for tomorrow and just go flying. Maybe take my kids. Anyways, I'll check back in with you once this is done. Have a great day. Peace. Okay, day 2 flight review. Got here about 45 minutes early so I could come out and do a pre-flight on November 66215. Glad I showed up early. Gives me lots of time to just not feel rushed, do a really solid pre-flight, and get everything situated in the cockpit, and then get with my instructor. So doing this today.
Here's the situation. I'm hoping this is recording, but anyways, I'm sitting here in the run-up area. There's a big, I don't know what that is, a Global Express up there. So I'm gonna do very little filming during this, but I'm kind of waiting right now. I just did my run-up, and once that guy gets out of the way, I'll taxi out there. When I get up into cruise, if I feel like everything is good and kosher, I'll check in with you guys. Quick update, this is day 3. Yesterday, day 2, I went up for 1.2 hours with an instructor, did some ground instruction, and got signed off for my flight review, so they were quite happy with my performance, and I feel quite confident. So got a big lineup today because Magoo approach is inactive. So I'm going to try to get in a cross-country flight today, but if it doesn't work, if the conditions aren't right, I'll scrub it and come back. Not a big deal. I'll check in with you later. Okay, let's see here. We're about 6,500. You got some updrafts and downdrafts. It's pretty windy down there over the water. So we got to work a little bit to keep our altitude consistent, trimmed up for hands-free flight. Other than that, I mean, we're on course. It's a beautiful day. But you can see, if you can get a look down there, I don't know, the white caps on the water. We're probably, I don't know, about 40 miles from Santa Barbara, heading north, and if the winds are favorable, then we'll land at Santa Ynez, and if they're not, we'll turn around and come home. The plan is to go to Santa Ynez, go down to Santa Monica, and then back to Camarillo, but we're just going to play it by ear. If the winds don't cooperate, not going to sweat it. We'll just go home and fly another day. Here's a little update. Got up to about Santa Barbara, and I could see a huge dust storm brewing inland in the area of Santa Ynez. And the winds, when you got over the shoreline, it was bumpy. It was really bumpy. So I kept it a couple miles off the shore and decided to climb up another 1,000 feet and make a 180 and head back down towards Santa Monica. So right now I'm back over Camarillo, and about 7,500 feet. The air is much smoother here, but I'm going to start a descent here in a couple minutes and work my way down the coast along Malibu, and we'll see what it feels like there. The winds in Santa Monica are 240 at 9, so it'll probably be about a 5 or 6 knot crosswind from the right. We'll see if that's what it's like on the way down there. Then, who knows? Anyways, I'll check in with you later. Okay, 3,500 over, just about to cross over Point Doom. Had some traffic stacked right on top of us, so I had to kind of do a big slow 360 to get some more separation. He's probably heading into Santa Monica as well, but it is a beautiful day out here for flying.
Okay, I owe everybody an update, and I'm trying to figure all of this out. Today, I'm sitting at Whiteman Airport. I had a little bit of spare time, and I was in the neighborhood, and decided to just drop in and see what I can see and record an update on the flying that I did this past weekend. Today's actually Friday, so I flew on Sunday the last time, and it's been a busy week. I had to catch a flight up to Portland, hop an Uber to Vancouver, pick up a car, drive up to the Washington coast, visit my family for the night, and then make a 17-hour drive. 17-hour drive straight through back down to Los Angeles. And then I just got word this morning that we are finally going back to work. Probably a week from today, I will be hopping on a charter flight with a bunch of other people and our equipment, and we're heading off to Berlin, where I will probably be for 2 or 3 months back to work filming. So I haven't given you a solid update yet on how things went on Sunday, and I wanted to make a few things clear about that flight. I did proficiency training / flight review with 2 different instructors for a total of about 2.1 hours, combined on Friday and Saturday. It was great. My stick and rudder skills seem to be pretty much intact. It's been a 12-year layoff, but prior to that, it was a 13-year layoff, and that was my experience that time as well. I have done a lot of flying on Ep.1 over the past 2 months, and that honestly made it a lot easier to get back into the airplane because I was already comfortable with procedures and radio communications and all of those sort of things. I just had to knock off the rust getting the actual flying experience with the force feedback and squeezing into that little cockpit and all of those sort of things. My first few landings were survivable, but I did them. I mean, so the entirety of the time that I was with the 2 instructors, they didn't touch the controls. I handled everything, the radios, the controls. I did all of the flying, I did all of the landings, and my steep turns were dead on and my stalls were dead on. Flew under the hood, and my instructor was surprised that I didn't actually have my instrument rating. I've been doing a lot of instrument flying on Ep.1. So that experience was great, gave me a ton of confidence. When I came to the airport on Sunday, I really had prepared myself for the possibility that I might not get to fly at all just because Southern California got a Robinson R-22 taken off behind me here. Sunday, Southern California was under high wind warnings. If you turn on the turbulence overlay on ForeFlight, didn't look pleasant for most of the Los Angeles area. And when I did get to the airport, a couple of other pilots who had just returned after turning around from an attempt at Santa Ynez let me know what the conditions were like. And so Santa Ynez was my plan as well. They said, maybe if you try a different approach than they had, perhaps it would be a little bit less bumpy. So after carefully considering the winds at Santa Ynez, my alternate airport, the other part of my plan, which was Santa Monica, and then most importantly, the winds in Camarillo, not only at the time of departure, but the expected time of landing. All those things into consideration, I determined that it would be a safe flight. I had plenty of outs if I wasn't able to complete the plan. If I wasn't able to complete the flight that I was intending. And sure enough, once I departed Camarillo and headed up towards Santa Ynez, got to Santa Barbara at 6,500 feet. I could quite clearly see the area of Santa Ynez, and it was just a huge dust bowl. The winds were crazy gusty and not lined up with the runway at all, and completely outside of my personal minimums, and probably easily outside of the demonstrated maximum crosswind for the 172. Bonanza. Taken off on a beautiful day for flying, by the way. So that wasn't going to happen, and I decided to turn around and head south and head towards Santa Monica. So I went from 6,500 to 7,500. My ground speed went from like 85 knots to 135 knots once I made the 180-degree turn. So getting down to Santa Monica was a lot quicker than getting up to Santa Barbara. As I made my way down there, I checked the ATIS in Santa Monica, and the winds, it was definitely gusty crosswinds, but within limits. And again, if I got down there and I didn't like what was going on, I departed with like 4.5 hours of fuel. I was going to be fine. If I didn't like it in Santa Monica, I would turn around and come back to Camarillo, where the winds were also gusty, however, consistently down the runway and not too troublesome. Turbulence doesn't really bother me that much, but if I start bouncing my head off the ceiling or having really big roll moments left and right, that makes me uncomfortable. I don't think the plane's going to come apart, but I just think, man, if I brought my kids flying today, they'd never get in a plane with me. And that was kind of what it was like anytime I was flying any distance over land. So I kind of kept it offshore a couple of miles where the air was much smoother. Made my way down towards Santa Monica, descended down to about 2,500 feet, and made contact with Santa Monica Tower, flew in. By the way, this was great for me. I've been to Santa Monica Airport a million times, but I've never flown into Santa Monica Airport, and the approach, basically entering the right downwind for runway 21, I'm flying right over my house, right over my neighborhood. I look up all day long at guys who are doing the same thing that I'm doing. So this was fun. It was bumpy, but not crazy. And then on final, again, pretty bumpy, but manageable. Was able to land without any. In fact, it was the best landing I'd done all weekend, although it was quite a bit of a crosswind. So I landed, stretched my legs, drank a bottle of water, and headed out back up to Camarillo. And Camarillo was what I expected. The winds were straight down the runway, easy landing, just a really, really fun day. I can't tell you how great it was to be back up in the air on my own. And it wasn't a simple flight. It was a couple days later. I talked to yesterday. I talked to the guys at Channel Islands Aviation, where I rented the aircraft from, and they said that was the busiest day that they had seen in a year, not just since Corona, but in a year, in terms of flying, because the Waypoint Cafe had just opened up. The weather was beautiful, albeit windy. Everybody was trying to get out there, and when I departed Camarillo, I wasn't able to pick up flight following. Point Mugu approach was down, which would normally be who we'd contact. So I contacted LA Center, and that poor dude was overwhelmed. And first he just kind of said, okay, hold on, I'll see what I can do. And then within a matter of a couple of minutes, he let everybody know, all VFR traffic, you're not getting flight following, unable. He was overwhelmed. In the first 10 minutes of my flight, climbing through 4,000 feet, at one point, looking out the windows, not looking at ADS-B, but just looking out the window, I counted 8 other aircraft within, 2 miles of me, and within 3,000 feet plus or minus of my altitude. It was a busy day for general aviation, which was great because it kept me on my toes and made sure that I kind of had to be on the top of my game for VFR flying, and it wasn't any different flying into Santa Monica. A lot of traffic coming in and out, had to make adjustments to my pattern to avoid a conflict with another aircraft that was preceding me in the pattern. All in all, just a lot of fun, a great time. How this is going to turn out, I have no idea. I've got so many different clips, mostly from the GoPro, some from my iPhone, audio from different sources. It's all like a big experiment to me. I wish that I had more in-flight video to provide here, but as I said at the beginning of that flight, I wasn't going to do anything to complicate my first solo flight experience in 12 years or, jeopardize safety, obviously. And I don't have a GoPro mount. I don't have a GoPro mount for the airplane, so I knew that anything that I did get was going to be handheld. Being done with it now and listening to the audio I recorded, I learned that I made an error the way that I connected my headset to the audio. So the only thing that I captured was the intercom, and because I was flying solo, just me. But I did learn that there is a very simple way to record all of the cockpit audio, all the radio communications, etc., directly from my Lightspeed headset, which, by the way, huge fan. I love it. So in further flights, I'll have complete audio, and I'll also have my camera mounted. I'll probably pick up at least one more GoPro so I can kind of get a different look. This is fun for me to be able to do this, but it's also really helpful for me to go back and debrief my flight and see what I could do better. I even just, outside of the recordings that I made, I went into liveatc.net and listened to my communications with Santa Monica Tower on my approach. And I caught a couple of things that I can do better. So this is all great for me. I hope that you find it useful as well. Again, I am probably jetting off to Germany in a few days, and I would really love it if I could experience general aviation in some form or fashion while I'm in Europe. I mean, I'd be thrilled to do that. So I'm going to take my logbook and my headset and whatever else with me, and I'll go ahead and make sure that I do whatever I have to do with ForeFlight to see Europe. But if you guys have any suggestions about how I should go about that, let me know. I'm open to your feedback. I'll respond to everything that I can. I'd love to hear about your experiences, your adventures, where you're at in your aviation experience right now. The purpose for me in doing this is hopefully to connect and provide a little bit of encouragement and support for other people who are doing something similar to me, which is starting from scratch again, and midlife, and specifically looking to make a career in aviation. And that's, it wasn't crazy a year ago, but certainly in the last 3 months with COVID-19 and just the disarray that the aviation industry has found itself in as a result, a lot of people would say this wouldn't be a good time to move into a career in aviation. However, I'm confident, as many people are, that the industry is going to recover, but also that I'm not going to be eligible for any kind of airline job before the airlines recover. I've got a long ways to go. I've only just gotten current for the first time in 12 years, and I'm in the very early stages of my instrument rating training. Passed my instrument written, 98%. Thank you, Shepherd Air. I'm going to do a separate video on my thoughts on using Shepherd Air, because they definitely evolved from the time that I had first become aware of Shepherd Air and what they do.
I turned into a big fan, but I'll explain later my reasons why I wasn't a fan at the outset. And actually, on Tuesday next week, I'm going to go ahead and take my FII, Flight Instructor Instrument Rating, because I do intend to to get my CFI and CFII within the next 2 years, and now would be a good time to knock that out since all of that information is still rattling around in my head fresh and get it taken care of. Anyways, that is a tangent that's probably not really necessary for what I'm doing right here. I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here simply by saying that I could not be any more thrilled to be back in the air. In future installments, I'll let you know exactly what it took for me to get here. It wasn't as simple as dusting off my logbook, getting a medical, and going flying. I had a lot of challenges. This is actually let's see, I'm not going to make a fool of myself. I'm just going to say it's a Friday in June. I don't know the exact date. But it's been 12 months. 12 months, almost exactly, since I made the firm decision that I was going to get back into the air and make an honest, concerted effort to realize my dream of becoming a professional pilot. And it took 12 months just to get back in the air. So stay tuned. I'm going to let you know what that process is like, why it took so long, and how I went about getting things, getting to this point, and the challenge that I still face going forward. So anyways, stay tuned. I'm that hippie pilot, and I will be talking to you soon. Peace.